fmtraining.tv. My name is Margaret. I'll be your broadcast engineer for today. Good to see you all. So, I will be your broadcast engineer. My name is Margaret. I'm here with the wonderful Nick Hunter. Nick is a long-time live stream presenter for us, and he has covered a multitude of topics in a variety of series, both short and long-running. We're always glad to have him on the show. Real quick, let's talk about our training schedule. So we do this 5 days a week on 3 different platforms. We do this on Twitch, YouTube, and Discord. So real quick, we're doing FileMaker auto enter calculations versus lookups. We had the beginning intro yesterday, and then we're gonna have a Tuesday and Wednesday discussing this topic. With that all being said, I think we're probably good. Nick, what are we doing today?
So what we do today, we do the second day of the auto entry calculation, auto enter calculation, calculated value on auto enter, whatever you want to call that, because I reviewed some FileMaker stuff and they changed terminology, but it's auto enter. It's auto enter calculation. Auto enter calculation. That is the official terminology from the help in FileMaker. So this is how we use the help to determine the real definition of things in FileMaker. So I worked for. When I was at FileMaker, I was in different department, right? In different team. And I was like a year and a half with a team of the documentation that they call like this. And I helped them build the help, right? And if you go in the help right now, we see all the script step definition and example rebuilt totally, completely. And I did that at the time, okay, not for the new one, but I did that a year and a half. I did a lot of things like this for them when I was there. So the auto enter calculation. So we have a lot of questions. We have one question that we're going to answer right now. So because I'm going to explain how to use the auto entry calculation in a good way, okay. Because the auto enter calculation, if you don't use the technique that I brought up to the surface, right, you will never get all the benefits of it, right? Because the auto entry is not just when you type something, right? It's not just when you create something or when you edit something, right? This is how yesterday I showed you how you change the thing, right? So you change a field that is part of the calculation, and then it get re-triggered, re-evaluated, okay, the calculation. So for each field that is involved in the auto enter calculation, so if you have an auto enter calculation and inside the calc you call fields and you change one of those fields, right, the auto entry calculation get evaluated. It could get slow as well, because if you have a lot auto entry calculation, right, and they call, and each time, let's say you have 15 or 20 auto entry calculation, complicated, complex, and you have one field in all of those 15, and you change that field, he has to reevaluate those 15 calc. Okay, so can get slow as well, right? So everything is a matter of discipline and knowing what you do. So when you know what you do, you can avoid problems, right? So, and that's why you're here, to learn how to do things. Okay, we try. So the auto entry calculation. So we saw yesterday, and I'm going to answer the question. So if you want to bring up the question from yesterday, if you want to restate it.
Sheagle, I ended up not seeing your question yesterday. Sorry about that. So I'm going to read that out real fast. I really want to always use the on-modify calc let statement that Nick uses, but there's a few off places it is very hard to figure out how to use effectively, i.e. when calculating inventory amounts that need to be accurate instantly. So the question is this one of the few times you'd use an actual calculation field instead so that it's always as accurate as possible?
Okay, so let's use that example because it's a good example. So I'm going to say inventory, right? We are going to create an inventory table, right? And so I'm going to copy those two fields and put that here. I'll remove the piece of junk. Okay, so, and I have a date and I have a quantity, right? This is a number. So I have a date and a quantity. So that's the inventory, okay? So let's say we have this, and I want to link this, right? So first name and last name, right? And that is linked to the inventory, right? So far, so good. So I have the inventory here, and I'm going to make inventory for, so today, and Nick, Hunter, and I have, let's say 10, right? And I want to duplicate this, and I say 12. So let's put that 11. And I duplicate this, and I say 8. This was on the 10. And I'm going to put 2 or 3 on the 11. Okay, so I have inventory here, right? So this is the inventory I have, right? Well, so if I go to my contacts, right? And I'm going to display the inventory, right? So I'm going here. I'm going to put those 2 fields, right? And I have the inventory for Nick Hunter. Okay, so let's go to Nick Hunter. Boom. So that's the inventory, correct? That's what I created. So, and you want the total on this, right? So, and you don't want to use a summary field, and you don't want to use an unstored calculation. You want to use, total inventory, right? It's a number. And you want to use what's the name? Auto enter calculation. So how you do that? This is very simple. We need to do a sum, right? So far, so good, of the quantity. So that's what it's going to do. If I call this calc, right now it's going to give me nothing. Okay, so it's going to be empty. So this is the inventory. So let's do the thing correctly. Inventory. Accents. Okay. And here, I'm going to put the total of the inventory. Okay. Here. So if I come here, it's empty, right? But if I go to the watch, the data viewer, and I paste this, I have 33. It's the sum of inventory. This is my inventory, right? And this is the list of the inventory. So this is how I'm doing when I want to check something. I'm using this technique. I'm putting a list of what the result, and then I say the sum, right, of the inventory. If I do a count, I have 4 entries, right? So this is how you do. You have the list 1, 2, 3, 4. This count is 4. There's 4 entries, right? And sum is 33, right? See how it works, right? So that the sum of the 4 entries, so that is the inventory, right? But you want that to be updated. Okay. So here where it comes the trigger. As we have triggers for fields and whatever, you have triggers here to trigger scripts. We use the same technique to trigger an auto entry calculation on demand. So how we do that? remember I told you, here I have no way, to trigger this, right? I have no way to trigger this. Right? I have no way. So what I want to do, right? I want to trigger this, right? So even if I go to the inventory, so remember I told you that if you do a change in a field that is involved in the auto entry calculation, it recalculates, yes, but only if it's local, if the field is part of the same table contact. If the field involved in this calculation is part of those, is one of those, that, and if you change it, if you edit it, that will re-trigger this, that will re-evaluate this. But here it's not local, it's part of another table. And that's statements of, just say it doesn't apply because it's not local, it's related. So it won't work. Even if I go there and I change this, I put 7, it will show 7 here, but it's not going to recalculate this, even though this field is involved in this auto entry calculation. So the question was, how do that? So I'm creating a field I call trigger. That field is a trigger. And I used the field will be a last modification. Correct? This is the field. This is the field. I'm going to this field, the last modification. I'm going to, and it's a timestamp. I'm going to explain why. I'm going to show you why, I think tomorrow, okay? Why I'm using this as a timestamp, okay? It's very important, extremely. It could be anything. It could be a text, could be anything, but I use a timestamp because a timestamp will help you. It will be the best friend ever you had in FileMaker, okay? So now I have this, and I'm going to involve artificially, I'm going to involve this trigger field inside this auto entry calculation. Artificially, I'm going to involve it. I want to involve that field without to be part of the results, but I need it to be part of the formula, of the calc. But just there, and use it just as a trigger. How we do that? We use the let statements. Let, if you don't use let, if you don't know to use let, you never go out of the beginner level. You will never get out of this level because it's the most important knowledge you need to have in calculation. We should start to teach people the let statement before anything else in calculation. If you don't know to use let, you never pass the level 1. You stay level 1 out of 500 level in the game. You never get out of the level 1. So you need to learn let. It's impossible to live with FileMaker without knowing let. So that being said, I'm going to involve, artificially, I'm going to involve that field. It doesn't do anything. It's not part of the calc. The calc is there. This stays the same, but it is part of the calculation, even though it is not part of the result, right? It doesn't matter. This doesn't have any effect on the result of this, but it's there, and being there, it will trigger the calculation demonstration. If you want to, okay. I'm going to put that field here, right? Let's put the tick code here. And here now, I'm going to put the timestamp of now, right? Boom, 32. It's 32 because I put 7 here. If I put 8 and I re-trigger this, 33, right? So now I can have many fields with the trigger, right? So I can have many things. For example, last inventory entry. And this is a date, right? So I'm going to copy this calc, right? And I want the max of the date. So what that will do, it will give me the last entry, the last and the max of the inventory, right? Date. So that means the latest, okay? The max, it will do that. So here, the last inventory, right? Let's put it here. This is the date. So now I have 2 fields, right? So if I change this, boom, correct? If I add a new entry, I should have a duplicated. If I had a new entry and I change the date to, 12/25, which is in the future, Christmas, it's a Christmas gift for you. And I put like 20, right? I have a new entry here, right? But this didn't recalculate. So I come here, I changed that field, and boom, now it changed 53 and it put the Christmas, right? So you have 2 fields with 1 trigger, right? Correct? Okay. So now you say, yeah, that's cool, but I need to, when I enter something here, let's say I'm entering something here, I want to update this, but from here. So let's say I'm here, right? I'm here. I want to add a new entry, right? I want to add a new entry here. And I want from here to update this from here, correct? How we do that? Well, we have a relationship between this and this. We have it. In FileMaker, relationship works that way or that way, right? I could come from here, right, and go there, or from here, go there. It works on both ways, right? It's bi-directional relationship. That being said, I can go there and put my trigger that is in contact here. Correct? So here, let's say, look well this. I'm putting on the 12/31/2023, which is New Year. I receive 100, right? And here, right, I'm updating this field from here. Boom. Retriggered from here. Correct? So far, so do we have questions?
Sheagle says, gotcha, that totally works. To be clear, I guess I am talking about things like a dashboard that shows a subset of people and their inventory counts. This would make it very laborious to update all the joined records to update their totals.
Yeah, but there's no problem. You have a pesos. I'm doing that all the time. But you got pesos, right? You select the people, you replace this, you know, they say replace this, boom, and recalculate everything. If you want a dashboard without using the auto entry calculation, good luck. That means you could stay, you could, you know, you're building something like extremely slow, you know, and I know I'm right, you know, it's slow. But if you have an auto entry calculation, it's not slow, right? Also, okay, so now here, what do I need to do that? Okay, what do I need to do that to, you know, to update this? I need a script, which is a trigger on record commit. It's a trigger. It's a script trigger, and it's inventory total. Okay, so update, update. Okay, so this script what do? Set field, the field in contact I use for trigger, and I put inside get timestamp. And this, I'm going to put that in the inventory layout as a on commit record, right? So now look this, close this, I'm changing this, putting 120. So it will be 73 here, right? 73, right? So you don't care, because if you change the date here and you put 29, for example, or, you know, 29, that will change this too. Correct?
Yeah,
right?
that makes sense.
So you're there, and I can have 10 layouts, 10 different tables that goes that, and I want something to happen on the contact. This is how I do, right? So you have a auto entry calculation triggered by field, and that field, right, can be triggered by any, because if this layout, if this table contact is related to that table, well, that table is also related to that. So it works on both, right? Of course, you don't need to show that in the layout. You can get rid of it. Doesn't need to be there, right? Like this, doesn't need to be there at all, right? And if you change this, you say 500, boom. That's it. When you commit the record, get changed. So is that the question from the person that asked us yesterday, the question at the beginning?
Yes. Sheagle says, thank you. That direction isn't something I'd considered. Lol, simple solution. So,
okay,
question is answered.
Okay, so it's a question now for who didn't know about that feature. Is that changed your mind on many things now? I mean, you know, So the question is, we have a little board here. Is that change your mind on how to use auto entry calculation? But please answer. Because I cannot live without this, right? I can't live without a wife, but I cannot live without this. It's impossible. If you it's impossible, because and now you don't need, never use unstored calc or even summaries. Do you know that I realized that I never ever use summary fields, because this is much more powerful, right? Because you can do whatever you want when you want. You have the button, you have the remote control in your hands. The control is complete. You're in full control of everything, and you can do whatever you want. And now look at this. Let's say, so first, do we have a question about this?
No, people are saying it's another tool in the toolbox. Yes, for some reason I hadn't considered that. I use it all the time and just didn't consider updating the parent on commit.
So let's say, because it works on both ways, right? So let me show you something right now, right? So let's say in this inventory, right? In this inventory, I want to change, I cannot change the first name, last name. So because that's my key, right? So, but I can bring here the city, right? I want to bring, or I don't know what I can bring. I want to change something here. So yeah, I want to bring the manager, right? So I want to bring the manager in inventory. I want to bring the manager here, and the manager, right? I want to I use a lookup for the manager. When I do something like this, I can use, I'm in inventory. I want to go to contact and take the manager, right? No. I'm doing something. I want to update this, right? I want to update the manager. So I'm going to put a trigger in. Sorry, I wasn't planning to do the inventory. So I'm improvising, right? Okay. So sorry for that. And the manager, right? I want the same. I want the manager to be updated in my inventory, right? So I'm doing a let statement. I name that trigger, right? And I say, and I want this as a trigger, right? And I want to bring the manager in contact, right? Okay. So see, let statements. I'm in inventory now, right? And I want to change the manager in contact, right? So I put the manager here, right? And I want the manager to be updated in all my inventory records. So far, I don't have it, right? It's empty. So, and I put here Marge as a manager, right? But it didn't get updated here, right? So I have another script on commit, right? Update manager. And this right? It does I'm going inventory. Sorry. I don't do a set field. I'm doing a replace. I show you why. There's many records here. Here, I have only one contact. Nick Hunter. Okay. Here is the opposite. I want to update all of those. So set field won't work. Let's do a set field just for fun. If I do a set field in inventory and I do a set field on inventory, right? And I put that field, that script in my on commits on contact, right? Update manager. So you understand, in inventory, I had an on commit record to update the trigger that is in contact. From contact, I have a trigger that replaced the trigger field in here. So what happens if I do set field, right? So I do Marge Carlton, right? And I do this. Boom. So I do nothing. See, yeah. So he updated one record. He updated the first record he found on the relationship. He updated this one. This one is updated, right? Proof of it. Okay. He updated this one, but I want to update all of them, right? All of them, I want all of them to have the information. So I don't do a set field, I do a replace. In inventory, and I want to replace this with a timestamp. Right? So now, if I do an on commit, there's only one script step. If I do an on commit, here what it's doing. So here, boom. So he replaced all the records, right? But only the records you have linked here, correct? Only the record you have linked here. So you saw now that's a problem. Okay, so do we have questions so far? If everybody understood that.
I'm going to let David type. I don't really see any other questions on any of the other chats. What happens if I put quantity in the trigger modifier field?
If you put quantity in the trigger, it happen nothing. Oh, that means if you put the quantity here to update the total here, that's what you want. If you put, because if you put if you put in inventory, right? I mean, no. Yeah, so you put quantity as a trigger field. Yeah, so you anticipate my next demonstration, okay? So, yeah, I know what you mean. So I'm going to explain that also, okay? I'm going to explain this, okay? That, yeah. But there's something you need to, I'm going to demonstrate something to you, okay? I'm going to show you something. Doing this, how we can use the trigger. But I recommend to use the trigger, to use a field that is not involving anything else than this, than repopulate. Why? Because in your statements, yeah, I can use this field to trigger this. I can. instead of using the, I can, but I need, but it wouldn't be involved, but anyway, here it doesn't work what you want to do because I'm triggering this triggers is triggered from here, right? And this trigger here that I removed, right, is triggered from here. So no, it won't work. You need because the quantity is not in that table, is in that table. But I'm going to show you something later. Okay, so here, actually I can start. If you don't have any other question, I can start making the demonstration.
I don't see any other questions.
Okay. So I want, for example, so let's say I have this, okay. So let's say I have this, what's the name, situation. And I want, so let me disengage the on commit right now. No, I'm going to disengage that. Because you saw the problem, the problem here, right, is this doing that way. This was for the demo. That was for the demo, okay? Because it doesn't work, right? The replace, it works, but look the problem. You want that to happen all the time? All the time you're going to commit the record, is going to do this. It's going to replace this. Each time look the timestamp here, right? So it's 11:43. It said 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So if I update anything, anything, if you commit, you have this happening. Boom. See, change this. So you don't want that to happen. But this is for the demonstration tomorrow, how we fix this issue. So now I have another problem. I want to demonstrate something here. I want, right, to use a field, right? But it's not the trigger. I want, if I blank this, right? I want this to be blanked, this to be blanked, right? For example, which is not the case right now, right? I want to blank this and blank this if I remove the first name, right? For it's an example, right? If I put Nick, right? If I remove, if I blank it, okay? I want this to be replaced, blanked or changed. If I change it, I want this field to be blank. How we do that? I go to last name, right? I go to last name, and I say this. Let the trigger field is first name, and I said this. And I'm going to copy this. So you will see the result, and then middle name the same. I'm going to remove this. Okay. So now, like by magic, if I remove this, boom, goes away, right? Or if I change it, you blank it, correct? Right? Are we okay with this? Right? If I blank it or if I change it, it goes away. Why? Is because I use the first name as a trigger to blank it. So if this happens, the content of last name will be blanked. You understand? So now, if I want to do something else, I want to blank it only if it's blanked, only if this is blanked, right? Only. The trigger is this, okay? The trigger is this. So if the test is empty the trigger, then blank. Otherwise, keep what is there. That means if I change this, and if this, I mean the trigger, is empty, then do this. Otherwise, keep as it is. Don't touch it. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste the same calc on the name. So now I put, if I change it, nothing happened. If I blank it, boom. All of this without any script trigger on the field, just with calculations. So now you understand the trigger technique. That means, okay, you modify a field somewhere, right? But that field will trigger other auto entry calculations, right? And they can be anything, right? So how you guys feel about this? And do we have questions?
I mean, I think this is pretty cool. I don't see any questions at the moment on YouTube or Twitch. Yeah, Ken's like, I like that. So you have the Ken approval stamp.
So the benefit of this, forget about the unmodified field stuff, triggers, don't use that. No more. Use calculations, auto entry calculation, auto enter calculation, call it what you want. And you'll see that using that technique, you avoid a lot of headache, right? So now I have another thing to show you for you. Okay, so let's put back like it is. Okay, so I want now to show you the control you have on this auto entry business. Okay. I'm going to have two auto entry. Last modification, this is for the total. And this one is for the last entry. I have two trigger, two. Not only one, I have two. Correct? Okay. So I have two triggers. One trigger is for this guy, and the other one is for this guy, right? So if I go there now in my inventory, and I put two buttons for the demonstration, update. If I update set fields, right, in the contact, and I want to update the total. So that is the updates of the quantity. And this will be the update on the date. So I change, I forgot to set the field with the timestamp. Okay. So I have two buttons. This one, update this trigger. the total, and this one updates the last entry. So now you can separate it. You can get this will update the quantity. Oh yeah, but I need to remove the I need to remove this. Otherwise my demo is faulty. Okay. Updating the dates. Why is not updating? Okay. Oh, sorry for that. The total inventory, I need to change the trigger.
Yeah, someone just said you need to remove the on record
Yeah,
commit.
yeah. So it's the total inventory, and I have the dates, last entry, which is not the same. Last. Oh, I hate when you do this. Last entry. So now I have two triggers. So I have total control on what happened, right? So let's blank this, and let's blank this. Yes, blanking it, it triggers it. Okay. So I'm updating the quantity and updating the dates in two buttons. So why this? You have the control. Sometime, let's say you have a very, very large table, right? And you have a lot of entry, but you don't want one trigger that trigger everything all the time. Sometimes I have a trigger for 2 fields, and I have another and I have another trigger for 5 fields, right? And sometimes I need 2 fields or 3 fields to be updated first, and then I want another trigger for other fields that are based on those results that I got before. So you have a lot of control. You have a lot of control. You can say, yeah, update this first, and then when you get the result of this, then update this after that, because I need that, first. You understand? So that technique avoid many headaches, right? You can have 10 triggers, 15 triggers, whatever you want, depending on the complexity. And also is to avoid to be slow, because, okay, why update everything if you want to update 2 fields, right? So you have a trigger for the 2 fields, right? So the way you manage this is, so I tell you how you manage this. When you have a lot of triggers and you have auto entry calculations, right? And you want to know which trigger is triggering the auto entry calculation. Very easy. This is triggering this. And in comments, I'm putting the name of the field. And this, copy, is triggering this. So now you are in Manage Database, you click here, and okay, that auto entry calculation is with the trigger last entry, and that auto entry calculation is with the trigger total. So so if you have a little discipline and you keep updating this information, I know that this trigger is for all, and you can see all the fields, and this trigger is for the other fields with the toggle on the comments, right? Cool or not cool?
Extremely thought-provoking. Looks to me like a solution to reduce maintenance issues. And then
yeah.
David agrees it's cool.
Yeah, because, so now tell me why you will need unstore calc. Tell me why. There's no need of so, and tomorrow we go next step, next level 3, okay, on the game, and I'm going to show you how to avoid many problems, and how to make this super fast, and how to make it like magical. Because you have two issues. You know, the issues is the sluggishness. You know, I thought I show you. You know, if I reinstate this, imagine here you have 1,000 records. So you know you do this 1,000 records. The replace, you can go have a coffee, talk to friends, come back, right? You don't want that to happen. So tomorrow we're going to use all of this on perform script on server. And that will give you another dimension on this. And now you will understand, because all the calcs will be updated on server. That means all your calc, the calc itself will be triggered, will be what's the name? Evaluated on server. So even if you have something very like crazy here, it will be updated and evaluated on server. So you have no way to do that with an unstock calculation. No way to do that with other technique. What you want to do, you want to go send a script in on server and update all your freaking totals, right? Or do all the calculation you want. And your dashboard the same way. You go, you know, on server, perform script on server, update all the auto entry calculation you want, the way you want, right? We're using that technique of multiple levels, right? And then you have, boom, that on server. That's it. That's it, right? It's very easy. And I have this many solutions, right? A dashboard, they are all auto entry calculation and all they are. But dashboard, technically, we use globals. So maybe one day we can do that's something I can keep in mind, or I'm going to write it down, or to have a dashboard webinar, because a dashboard, normally you should have everything global.
That would be fun. We've had a couple people request like dashboard type stuff, so
a dashboard is, because there's multiple ways to do dashboards, multiple ways. Okay, so but there's a simpler way, which is hard to maintain, and a more complicated way, which is easy to maintain. So that will be about, there's two ways to do dashboards. The way I imagine dashboards, collecting data, collecting numbers, collecting dates, collecting list of things, right? So, like, for example, what the client I need to, what the contact I need to contact today, what the client I need to contact today. Okay, you enter your database, you log in, boom, and you go dashboard, say, okay, you need to call those people, right? So, but you want that to be fast, super fast. And of course, we got the technique for that. So tomorrow, no questions more?
Not at the moment. Wait, no, there is a question that snuck up on us from Andrew. I have a table that moves about 70 fields into a separate table for reporting. I currently use auto enter, but would lookup be better here?
No. No, it won't. But you do the wrong way. If you move data and you use this technique, you don't do this. You do export imports, even if it's one record. You export and import. I don't know what you want to do. Are there totals you want to send there? Are there totals? Summaries and stuff like this?
Andrew says it's for a report. I don't know. It's like a 90-second delay because they're on YouTube, so I don't know if it's for totals or.
Yeah, because okay, that's the problem also why I don't use summary fields for this type of stuff. Right? Why I don't use summary fields? Because you can't export summary fields. Right? Or not really easily. Here, if I want, I can export this. Yeah. It's there. Total inventory. It's a field. You know, I can import it. I can export it. It's not a summary field. It's a field. Correct? Right. So, and of course, that's searchable. Summary field, right? That's super searchable. That's searchable, like superior, you know, you want to find the superior than 500, for example, right? You can do that. It's a field. It's number. It's not a summary. It's not a unstored calculation, right? So you can do whatever you want, right? So tomorrow we're going to learn Pisos, and then you have a sneak peek about why I'm using I'm using timestamp, right? Why I'm using timestamp is because I know that was super fast. I mean, it took me 2 seconds to update this, right?
Yes.
It started at 58, right? 1 second. So you know, this was, you know how long it takes to do the thing first. Secondly, imagine that you have a trigger, you work on something, you know, you work on something. We are the 13th of December, midnight, right? For me, it's 13th of December. And you have this, for example, you know, and you have this. And you do it again, and you have a trigger, you there, right? And you have a trigger. And we are on the Wednesday, 13 midnight, and you see this. What that tells you, your script is messed up somewhere because it's not doing the thing. It's not doing it because I see the date and the time. It's not doing it. The 3 days now, this is not doing it, right? I can see it, right? And one day it told me, you know, that gave me an indication that my script is messed up. And sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, it's a week now that we don't have the result is not performing. I don't see my result. That's a week now." And I go there and say, "Oh yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's 1 week. The last time you update this was 1 week ago, right? So okay, I understand. So I did something 1 week ago that broke something, right? I can see it, right? You understand the benefit of this? So you have many benefits. I give you an indication. Say, oh, like for example, if you work on something and you click the button, and you say, "What the heck? Why I don't have my result in here?" And you see here that is 4 hours that this didn't change, or sometimes it's blank. You know, never happened. It never happened. I say, "Okay, I know. Okay, I messed up something. I forgot to trigger this." Okay, you understand? Because it's blank, and you have a button that supposedly should update this, but it's blank, right? You understand that? So tomorrow we're going to learn about this stuff. So if you don't have any other question, we time to go, and tomorrow you will get this nice file.
I think we're good. Thank you very much, Nick. It's always appreciated.
Thank you, and see you tomorrow.
Yep. Bye.
report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir.